Job 1, 6 through 19. Satan obtains leave to tempt Job. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "Whence have you come?" Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he has, and he will curse thee to thy face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has in your power, only upon himself do not put forth your hand." So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and there came a messenger to Job, and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them, and slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven, and burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 companies, and made a raid upon the camels, and took them, and slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." While he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came across the wilderness, and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Overview. The Fathers in general view this section concerning the intervention of the devil as an allegorical narrative, Ishodad, ACCS, where the trial of Job symbolizes the constant struggle of the righteous against the temptations and passions inspired by the malice of the devil, Gregory. Job's wealth is the fruit of his righteousness, but he has to lose such wealth in the trial imposed by God, Chrysostom. The power of the devil can extend only to the limits set by God, Julian of Eclanum, ACCS, Didymus, Chrysostom. The real instruction of the righteous and of the Christian, who is foreshadowed by Job, happens through the loss of material goods and the endurance of afflictions. Gregory. 1:6, Satan comes before God. Even the devil's thoughts are known to God. Ishodad of Merv. There was never a special meeting where Satan dared to speak, to formulate questions and receive answers, nothing of the sort, but these facts are reported in a narrative style for the edification of the listeners. They never took place in reality, and here the devil did not address God or pose questions. Satan never had the faculty to speak to God or to see him who is the one that the creatures of fire and spirit cannot see, but the devil mediated in his heart, and God, who searches the hearts and examines the mind, knew the devil's malice. At the service of the righteous, ACCS of Jerusalem, was there ever a time when the angels did not stand before the Lord? Was it not written about them that 1,000 thousands served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him? But this coming, in our opinion, is that of the angels who had been sent to serve human beings. Paul actually says, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" 1, 7 through 8, "Where have you come from? Consider my servant Job, Gregory the Great." Satan's going to and fro on the earth represents his exploring the hearts of the carnal. In this way, he is seeking diligently for grounds of accusation against them. He goes round about the earth, for he surrounds human hearts in order to steal all that is good in them, that he may lodge evil in their minds, that he may occupy completely what he has taken over, that he may fully reign over what he has occupied, that he may possess the very lives of those he has perfected in sin. Note that he does not say that he has been flying through the earth, but that he has been walking up and down it. For in fact he is never easily dislodged from whomever he tempts. But where he finds a soft heart, he plants the foot of his wretched persuasion, so that by dwelling there he may stamp the footprints of evil practice, and by a wickedness similar to his own he may render reprobate all whom he is able to overcome. But in spite of this, blessed Job is commended with these words, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. To him whom divine inspiration strengthens to meet the enemy, God praises, as it were, even in the ears of Satan." For God's praise of Job is the first evidence of Job's virtues, so that they may be preserved when they are manifested. But the old enemy is enraged against the righteous the more he perceives that they are hedged around by the favor of God's protection. 1, 9-10, Does Job fear God for nothing? Wealth received from God, Chrysostom. Do you see that Job's wealth was a gift from God? Do you see that it was not the fruit of injustice? How Job had to suffer in order to demonstrate to people that his wealth was not the fruit of injustice. And behold, the devil himself bore witness to him from above, and did not realize that he praised Job as well by saying that he had not acquired that wealth through illicit trading and through the oppression of others. Instead, Job owed his wealth to God's blessing, and his security came from heaven. You would have not rejoiced if Job had not been virtuous, but the devil praised and covered him with laurels without realizing what he was doing. 1, 11-12, Stretch out your hand, allegorical meaning of God's hand, Didymus the blind. God's hand must be understood in a variety of ways. It is either the power that punishes or serves punishment, usually referred to in the Scriptures as tools of wrath, or the protecting and guarding power in the Scripture. No one can snatch them out of the Father's hand. Even the Son can be shielded by the hand which protects and supports those who are under it, in accordance with the word, "The right hand of the Lord has exalted me." The right hand of the Lord acts valiantly. The quoted words prove that no one is tempted without God's permission, for God says, "See, I have given everything into your hand," but in order to show that this permission is given only with restrictions, it is added, "Only do not stretch out your hand against him." Thus afflictions occur neither due to fate nor arbitrarily, but due to God's permission, in order, as mentioned in the beginning, to proclaim Job's virtue, but sometimes for other reasons, concerning which we will speak later on. God does not consider Satan's requests, Chrysostom. Satan himself willed and desired to receive power over Job, but he did not dare to say so. "But you," he says, "stretch out your hand, then so that he may not say, 'You indulgently struck him as though he was a household servant.'" God does not do that which the devil asked. Certainly God could, in doing that, justify himself by saying, "I did what you wanted. It is you who told me to touch him." 1, 13-15, a lone servant escapes, a day deliberately chosen, Julian of Eclanum. A day of trial is chosen by the devil in order that he may now overwhelm the holy Job with the variety of damages and afflictions. For previously, after offering the sacrifices by having his meals in the circle of his children, Job could be safe in God's protection. It was not without meaning that on the day of the theft of the oxen and donkeys, mention was also made of what happened to the children as they were eating together. This was to show that all the misfortunes by which the soul of the righteous man was to be crushed happened simultaneously. 1:16, sheep and servants destroyed. The fire is the devil, ACCS of Jerusalem. Who is the fire? The enemy himself, about whom David said, "You will throw burning coals at them." In fact, he could not, as some people believe, cast thunderbolts, nor brandish lightning, nor set in motion any elements. Therefore it is the devil in the semblance of fire who fell on the herds of sheep with the intention of forcing Job to blaspheme God as if it were he who from heaven had destroyed the riches of the righteous. Proof of God's action, Didymus the blind. It is remarkable how the news from the second messenger increases Job's plain. "Fire fell from heaven," he says, "and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them." Even if Job thoroughly knew the teachings of the truth and understood that afflictions did not occur without God's permission, the incident still brought him great suffering for the people's sake. They were confused by what occurred. It was as if God had turned against Job. That the intruders during the attack took the cattle and killed the servants could be interpreted by the less intelligent as if the intruders were simply acting in accordance with the hostile customs of battle. They had attacked and behaved in that way due to lack of discipline and hate. Therefore, one might conclude that the event was not sent from God, But when the fire that had fallen from heaven was reported, one might have feared that the weak would believe that virtue was nothing admirable, if God even punishes the one who possesses it. Yet even during this incident, the holy man did not fall down, but focused his entire intention on God's work. 117, a Chaldean raid, the power of the devil. Chrysostom. Therefore, we cannot consider these blows as coming directly from God. The devil amplifies the tragedy as seen in the variety of the announced calamities. But since Job was pious, he probably said it was God who strikes, hence it is necessary to be patient. The devil then argues, look, the devil says, consider what kind of men attack you. It is not only God who is fighting against you. Contemplate the great power of the devil and the way he has armed such numerous hordes. The devil has clothed himself in appearances. Even if you do not believe in the reality of divine judgment, you can see his ability to give demonic powers a visible form, even when he cannot create these powers.